think teens are, and I could be wrong in this, but I think teens are less likely to walk in and take advantage of that as an adult would. Teens with kids probably are, you know, are willing to throw a few walls out of the way to help their child. I think resources may be untapped is volunteers. If you think about how elderly get transported, you know, between Meals on Wheels and having people volunteer to take people to church or volunteer to take people
You're
to.
taking away thunder from the
Oh,
topic
sorry.
at the end of Brainstorm.
So you're saying a resource, and that seems to be.
It's okay, she
Keep
likes things to go in a very specific order. You're okay, Steve, keep talking.
She's a
Keep
project
talking.
manager.
She is. Keep talking, Steve.
I just thought I was thinking free, so it's a resource. We've got people out there, I think, that would be willing to do that. And a case in point would be on the sorority gals that are helping provide the meals, especially over holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving and things like that. You know, if we could plan this out, especially if we could, you know, get people to school, pick them up from school, so we can encourage them to stay in school. And you know, then have times when you're going to show up at a certain place. You know, especially if we ever got a shelter where you could schedule, you know, people who would volunteer to take people to appointments and to the doctor. You know, because healthcare is another huge huge problem in terms of getting people back and forth to healthcare. That's the thing they neglect the most. Most services, I would think. I don't know.
Well, sure, and then to get a ride out here to get your teeth cleaned.
Yeah.
But
Everything seems to be put out on the edges of town.
So, Steve, you said something that I'm going to kind of zero in a little bit on. You mentioned came from school. That suggests a time frame to me where there is a need for transportation, you know, from, 7 to 8 in the morning, and then maybe 3 to 4 in the afternoon. Healthcare, that could probably just be any time throughout the day. Where do you see some of these needs job related? I don't know if the typical job then would be more at night or more during the day. What other time frames are you seeing as kind of prime?
with youth, I mean, the times for jobs are going to be in the evening, the most likely they're going to get a job. In bus systems, they're done minute. Well, some goes kind of late, but you know, that's still, I think that's limited to some of the places they go to after a certain time. So, I mean, even like if they go to Walmart to get a job up there, you have to get off at midnight. It's difficult for them to get home, so they can't take a job at Walmart because of that.
So
Or even
kind of-
fast food anymore, that's
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
McDonald's
Right.
goes all night, so.
Yeah.
Right. So second shift jobs, if you will,
Yeah.
and third.
Well, because they never know when their hours are gonna be, so I mean, but,
Mhm. Okay. How many, this is gonna be a tough question, you can just tell me, Jody, you're crazy for even asking it. How many youth could you estimate maybe in a given day trying to get around? Is that, thank you, yeah, tell me I'm out of my mind. I mean, is that?
I think everyone is a daily problem. I think it's a daily problem for them on a daily basis. So if you count how many youth are homeless, I think you could say that every day is a problem.
Okay.
You know, whether they want to go to a friend's house even, just anything else, that's going to be a problem. They're going to have to try to find transportation somehow to get there.
Okay. So I think
At
that.
least that's
Okay.
yeah.
And that's very fair. I mean, that's kind of what I thought too, and I didn't know if there was something outside of that that I wasn't seeing. Just essentially going back to the statistics. Yeah. Do you think that the gaps that we've talked about for the homeless youth would likely coincide with adults as well? Or do you think that there would be some lifestyle differential in there that would offset those gaps? And the reason I ask, obviously, is that we're looking at, you know, hey, if this is prime time for youth, it's fair to say
are
that
you
those
talking about
numbers.
time gaps, Jody?
Time, location, all of it.
there'd have to be some overlap, especially in the mornings. You know, adults need to get to work, kids need to get to school.
You know, during the daytime would be resources, both adult and youth.
But again, maybe there's a way to combine, you know, transportation for the elderly, you know, to pick up, you know, where we've got, you know, we've got vans that go out and pick people up and take them to, you know, to doctors, you know, to dentists, things like that. Maybe they can stop at schools and
Right.
pick kids up as well.
And not be so focused on one demographic.
There might not be that much more cost involved as opposed to trying to create it.
Has that ever been talked about in the community before? No?
Don't know.
Let me ask you something, Gal, you talked about, did she mention, how many people knew? I mean, in other words, you can put all sorts of resources out there, but the question is whether these kids will, or young people particularly, will access those resources, just because there's a lot of reasons why they don't want to tell anybody, the peer pressure, they feel embarrassed about it. I mean, did she talk about that?
She did. In fact, one of the statements that she had made that really resonates with me is she has a $140 pair of boots on because she wants to look like everyone else. You know, and I think that captures kind of what you're saying. With that being said, and you know, maybe you guys can speak to this a little bit better. You know, I think that's why there's a whole nother session called resource collaboration, is because they don't know what the resources are necessarily, and how do these homeless youth maybe bump into one resource, but then at that resource understand what else the resources are. So, and I think that collaboration piece could obviously be improved. Lots of things can be improved on lots of topics, but that's one of those that kind of were identified in the first forum, where that way somebody who maybe doesn't have access to the internet, somebody who doesn't have a means to get around and shop the different resources, can find it at a one-stop shop, or at least get some directions.
I also think that, you know, if I was a youth and I was sleeping at someone's house on the couch, would I be consider myself a homeless? You know, you think of the definition of homeless as someone who's living underneath the bridge. And so I think maybe also phrases, you know, not having a place, that consistent place that you call home. I mean, because when I work with youth and I talk about, you know, are you homeless right away? Well, I'm living at the front, then you're considered homeless. I have a house, you know, I'm living out of a shelter. For the purpose of we're talking about, you're homeless.
Until that friendship becomes frayed.
Right, or the parent gets frustrated and says, well, you know, it's about time to find
Phil,
something.
to get out of here.
So I think, you know, with youth especially, I think, you know, they're very sensitive to that word homeless. Because they don't want, well, number one, they don't want to feel like they're homeless. So,
There's also a contingent, especially in certain cultures, where you've got a lot of minors living with an 18-year-old, you know, where you've got an 18-year-old sibling who's the head of the household. You know, they don't have a stable home life either. They may live in 4 different apartments depending on, you know, which aunt or uncle or something like that has it. And we haven't even really begun to talk about, you know, especially in the Somali and Sudanese populations, where kids are just handed off from one 18-year-old uncle to one 20-year-old aunt on a rotating basis, who don't speak English, and talk about letting them know what services are available, and then those kids fall through the cracks in a large way. That would be a transportation area to target, simply because those communities seem to be tighter knit. They're not. I mean, Caucasian kids they're one here, one here, one here, one there. But from an ethnic standpoint, there's going to be certain housing projects where even if the kid technically has a family member, those kids are every bit in need
Sure.
of transportation as the rest, and
That's kind of redefining homeless though, a little bit, isn't it? Because technically, would you say that they're not homeless?
you know, yeah, that's true, and I don't,
Yeah.
but I just think from a transportation standpoint,
Totally,
if
yeah.
there were some projects that we could get vans to now, does that help kids outside the box? Maybe. I may be cheating